And scorecard changes votes at a certain point in the voting stream. The Obama administration used it in the 2012 election in Florida. And so both Obama and Biden are very familiar with it. I'll make a quote.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's important that we all understand it. It's by Joseph Stalin. I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote or how. But what is extraordinarily important is this: who will count the votes? Now, Steve, we have a desperate Democratic Party that will do anything to bring the country to a totalitarian state, and as far left, all this enthusiasm you're talking about in Pennsylvania gets changed very quickly with this software program that switches 3% of the votes. And that's why I'm so intimately familiar with what Hammer and Scorecard can do, and nobody knows it. Nobody knows.
Okay, now also, you're one of the most revered officers in the U.S. Air Force, an unbelievable career. I want to go to Hammer. Hammer was the single most important and the single most sophisticated, basically, system that came up after 9/11 for really intelligence or counterintelligence about radical Islamic Jihad and the ability to monitor that. Is that how the beginning of this started? Was a foreign surveillance system that allowed the national security and intelligence apparatus to watch our enemies. Is that how this thing started?
That's how it started, Steve. Very sophisticated, very, very capable. It was then adopted with the software packs like on your iPhone to the voting business. And it was to be used, and it was used in foreign countries. And so it was then moved over into the CIA, and they started looking at U.S. citizens. That is illegal. The CIA cannot look at U.S. citizens, and only the FBI with the proper FISA warrant, etc. Sydney knows all about this. You know all about this. And it is extremely important that this was taken out of the CIA when the Obama administration left. They used some kabuki to get it out. They still have it up and running. We know where it is located. We know it's active tonight. It's active. They've been looking at a whole host of things, as has the DNC, using false IPs. And they are looking around, and they are trying to set up this voting thing that happens on Tuesday night. It's going to look good for President Trump, but they're going to change. And that's the danger that America and everybody must realize.
The last time the audience heard about Dennis Montgomery, he was being rounded up at his house. He had 47 hard drives, I think he had taken from Fort Meade. How does Dennis Montgomery fit into this story?
He's a genius, and he loves America. Dennis invented Scorecard. He's the programmer that made all this happen, and he's on our side. And at great personal risk, as well as he hasn't benefited financially from it. He is an absolute genius. And so he's extremely important to what's going on. It would have happened in 2016, Steve, except something happened to it that night when the Obama crowd and the Democrats tried to use it. I can't talk about that.
Dennis Montgomery is like the character Nash in Beautiful Mind. I mean, this is one of the smartest programmers ever. He wrote this incredibly sophisticated program. And that's why this event in August of 2015, when he was basically gathered up, and he had the 47 hard drives. Heck, we got one hard drive from Hunter, and we're still going through information. He did this, as we now know, he did this to essentially save his country and expose what's going on. What was he trying to expose, and what should the American people know today on the eve of this election that 250 flag officers sent a letter to President Trump, said it's the most important, including my old boss, Tom Hayward, who said it's the most important election in the history of the Republic. What is Montgomery trying to tell us? What is the message we need to hear today?
Well, he's telling us right now, Steve, that we are on the verge of being compromised through cyber warfare of which he is a master of, the most brilliant person in our country on cyber warfare, and they have used this. They moved it from the intelligence, a very highly secure program, and they've moved it from there over to political treachery. And that's what it is. When they moved it out of the CIA, they moved it for their political use as they have politicized the intelligence community, as we saw in the Russian hoax, and what they've done to General Flynn. All these things are on this force that you and Sydney have been talking about that want to change America from what it is. It goes back to the Electoral College, to the Supreme Court. All these things are bundled to change America from being a democratic republic to a totalitarian regime. That means a socialist country with the next step is communism. And that's why there can be no agreement between this Democratic Party and the Republican Party. One choice is freedom, one choice is communism. It's that simple.
You going to be able to stop Hammer and Scorecard?
We intend to stop Hammer and Scorecard.
Sidney Powell says it. Take that to the bank, okay? Future FBI Director, Sidney Powell. Can't wait for the confirmation hearings.
I'd like to say what Leslie Anderson said: have faith, pray, and let's all meet at the pass tomorrow night.
What is it, stick to the plan or whatever it is? Let's blow some heads up right now, okay?